Ramble.
Jesus.
Guilty Pleasures, the show that loves what it loves. I am your host, Kelsey Darragh, because Zach Kornfeld is fucking out. So guess what, you guilty whores?
Yeah.
Your mama's taking over this week. Welcome to the podcast.
I was going to say, mom's not home. Mom's not home. Mom's gone.
Mom's not home, so daddy's out to
Zach is
play.
mom.
We got daddy guest Miles in the house. We got daddy Garrick calling in.
Hey, what's up? Daddy here.
How are my daddies
Hey.
feeling today?
Feeling super good.
I'm chilling. I got I got the sun in my eyes. My eyes are squinty a little bit, fucking.
You look like you can't be bothered.
I'm sipping on a coffee, ready to talk about a classic film.
To be clear, you're sipping on a coffee at 2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
What a psychopath.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I have coffee sometimes at 5
Yeah,
p.m.
he's not going to bed.
Because I'm built diff.
You heard it first.
Is your anxiety level such that if you have a coffee past 11 a.m., it's going to
like 2 p.m. is pushing.
Really?
it. Like that's going to be, you're not going to sleep.
Because you're like
anytime
half-life
soon.
of caffeine, I'm going to be up until
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, but I also take Adderall every day and do recreational drugs. You guys, this week I am so excited to talk about the one and only 2009 action sort of sci-fi
Yep.
thriller Push.
Yeah, it's sci-fi.
The long line is,
Goddamn.
the year is, who knows? Chris Daddy Pratt, Captain America.
Pratt?
Oh, not Pratt.
No.
Fuck. Chris Daddy Evans, Captain America plays, no, I don't care what his name is.
Nick?
Noah? Sure.
I don't know.
Nick, who is
Nick,
got
yeah.
special abilities. In this world, you're born with special abilities. Perhaps you're a watcher, which are people that can see the future.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a fucking sniffer.
Oh,
which can
yeah. There's some sniffers.
sniff out people. But these
Yeah.
certain people live in
there's some
secret
sniffers out there.
because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
trying to be wrangled up by the government to be put into a super army, but not our people, not Chris Evans, and not our favorite unproblematic white queen, Dakota Fanning, who plays, what's her fucking name?
Who cares,
Who
right?
cares? Cassie,
Cassie.
Yeah.
who
I'm
helped
just calling
Chris
her.
Evans escape from the department. What are they called?
The Division.
The division, which is basically the people hunting these
The
people.
department.
The same as a Chinese gang that is trying to hunt them because they want them for their special powers to inject them with a special superpower thing that will basically everyone wants these people to build an army. It's Looper, it's Jumper, it's superheroes. This is Push. Was
That's
that
right.
the
That
worst
was pretty
log
bad,
line?
but pretty bad, but only because you didn't
Yeah.
breathe.
That
yeah.
comeback.
If you can just take a
take a deep-
quick breath right
Take
now.
a quick
You would think I'm the one having coffee after.
Take
that.
a ooh.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it
Ooh,
mostly.
son.
It's about super people that are being hunted by the government, and Chris Evans trying to fulfill a prophecy that his
Yeah.
dad told him before he died.
Because his dad was a watcher.
His dad was,
Yeah.
some kind of something. But
What's y'all's relationship to this movie?
I watched this movie when it came out, and it was my favorite
Oh.
movie at the
What?
time.
Oh my God! Wait, so this was a you?
This was a Miles. This is the same as Jumper.
This is a Miles
and-
classic.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Lucky Number 11, Jumper. They all take place
Yeah.
in the same sort of spot in my mind,
Yeah.
which is movies that are
Yeah.
rad as hell
Yep.
and not all that good.
Really?
Yeah,
But
that's also true. Very, very much like concept-driven
Yeah.
movies that are like subpar, but like
fun.
I fuck
Like
with
if this,
it because
yeah,
the concept
if this
is
was
so
on
fun.
at like a bar and I'm watching the whole thing. Like it's just fun. It makes
Yeah.
me to me this.
I love that
movie,
you're going
Yeah.
to a bar to watch movies. You fucking
like if
weirdo.
I'm at a bar and then like talking to my friends and like, hang
If-
on,
if- if-
Push is on.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
If Push is on, if
Yeah.
Looper is
Jumper.
on, if Jumper is on, I'm watching that
Hell yeah.
whole thing sound off. Don't give a
Eric,
fuck.
had you seen this movie before?
Yeah, several times because it's one of the
It was just a
greatest
question
movies
we
of all
ask every
time.
week. Jeez.
I know it's a
fool.
question that you ask every week, but the tinge in your voice, yeah, it made me want to say "you fool" at the end of it. Of course, you fool. But no, I this was like one of those movies that my brother just had burned on the CD. And as I was going through his booklet of burned and copied movies from LimeWire, I would just see this
Never
one
forget.
and I'd be like, yeah.
This movie was in a folder with a myriad of other movies called The Pirate Ship. They were all the shit I torrented in high school. And it was like...
So you pointed right to the evidence for when the government infiltrates.
I was like,
for
fucking
your-
try me.
Yeah.
But it was literally this movie, Jumper, the movie Nerve with Dave Franco.
Yep.
There's a couple of Social Network was in there. I mean, I love Social Network, but
Who doesn't? The soundtrack, iconic.
No, I mean,
But this movie,
it was shocking to rewatch it in the year of our Lord 2022 because so much of it I didn't really remember, and nor did I need to. But the most shocking bit was in the very opening. Dakota Fanning's like, she has a quote that's like, "People were created during the Holocaust. The Nazis' experiments were not expected." And then she's like, "Other governments tried to do what the Nazis couldn't." I was like, that is not a good thing.
So they're all descendants of Nazis or prisoners?
Like the government experiments, they tried to create super people, but they didn't. So other governments tried to do what the Nazis couldn't.
And succeeded?
And apparently succeeded.
There's that whole... Yeah, there's that whole theory about a lot of like Nazi experimentation on humans and all that stuff during the Holocaust. So like once everybody found that out, they can't be old. I think they were like 2 generations old, right? There was like a second generation.
Yes,
they're babies.
Chris Evans.
Dakota Fanning was a second generation watcher,
which is hilarious.
And Chris Evans was a second generation mover. And I know you're confused because you're thinking he's
Don't
the star of the
worry.
movie. It's called Push.
We're gonna explain.
He's got to be a pusher.
Yeah,
he's not a pusher.
You guys, we got to break it down, right?
He's not a pusher.
So,
he's a mover.
First things first is this is also the entire movie is taking place in China. So you're in a different world and you learn about these people through different acts that they're doing. We open on Chris Evans losing his father, who was a watcher, but giving him a prophecy that one day a girl's going to give you a flower and you guys are going to save our people, our kind.
Oh, yeah.
So watch out for a girl with a flower, and then dies. And he's being captured by Digimon Hansu, which...
Is that who's that?
Digimon Hansu.
The most gorgeous man to ever
that's
walk
his
this
name.
planet.
He rules. He's an incredible actor. He's
a
been in
fucking
so
G,
much stuff.
Academy Award
Digimon
nominated.
Hansu.
No, he rules.
Maybe winner by now.
I didn't know that was
Fantastic.
his name.
Yeah, and then we cut to the present where Chris Evans is using his powers not so much for good, but to win poker games and things. So let's go through the powers. So Chris Evans is
it's a dice
Whatever.
game.
Poker game. I was
Come
like,
on.
it's craps.
Gambling is a
that.
drug,
Stop.
and you shouldn't do it.
It's Chris.
Yeah, he's playing craps on the street. He's a telekinetic gambling addict with a heart of gold. And I think that the setting actually is one of the strengths of the movie. Like, I thought that like the fish market, they're in these sort of like places in China, like the Chinese gangs. I thought that was like one of the most compelling things to me. I was like, honestly, I just want to watch a gangster movie that takes place with Chris Evans in China. And the parts they're similar to that. I listened to it.
Have you watched Tokyo Vice?
No.
That show does the exact same thing that this movie does, where I'm just like, nah, I do care about the people that are the characters and all that stuff that make up the world, but the world itself is so fun to just like live in for a second.
It also feels
that
like
I'd watch anything.
China has like such luxury to it. Like they don't fuck around with the way they decorate and the way they live opulently. I might have just made that word up. But everything's really breakable.
Yeah, everything's ornate.
Yeah, or like super colorful, and it just makes for a really rich environment to have these sort of supernatural elements happening.
Right.
So, okay, so Chris Evans is a mover, which is basically just you move things with your mind.
That's right, telekinetic.
He can use telekinesis, yes.
Why they didn't go with telekinesis, we'll never know. Then we've got watchers, which is what...
Because they got to modernize it, baby.
Sure. Dakota Fanning, which is basically people that can see the future, but... Big caveat, big
changing.
asterisk, the future's always changing.
Damn right. Yeah.
Which, what the fuck was I supposed to do with that information?
And then there's the sniffers. Now,
we got to talk about
the
sniffers.
sniffers to me are all perverts.
Okay.
Like it's sort of... They're sexual. The guys who are sniffers are like coming in, they're smelling everything. It is so sensual.
And they're like, they're like sniffing this stuff and then they're giving it to their buddies like, oh, get a whiff of this.
And they're not doing it like a dog where it's harmless.
No.
It's fucking weird.
It's giving smell my finger. It's giving...
Yeah.
Which imagine you're born into this world,
finger.
this supernatural power, and you got sniffer. How pissed would you be?
Yeah. Because technically, if you are a sniffer and you do a smell my finger type thing, you get all of that. So if that is your introduction to your ability,
life, if you finger them,
that their life and their sexual history. Yeah. So that would happen, and I'm guessing that let's say that their powers evolve at the age of 13, right? That's when everybody's doing it, smell my finger and all of that stuff. Now we're into like a really dangerous territory of like the foundation of their
This is where men and women differentiate. I thought you meant smell my finger like I just fingered a girl. You meant butthole. Like
no, I think stuck your finger up your butt. The stereotype. To be clear, I never did this. I never said smell my finger to anybody. But I think that the assumption.
I'm calling a fucking lie.
Absolutely not. I was a wholesome child.
I don't believe you.
I never kissed and tells.
Okay, whatever.
I never kissed. But I do think that it's like the sniffers. Also, at one point, the sniffer he smells the lipstick the main girl has.
Yeah.
Hallmark fucking Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, whatever her name is.
He's like,
Camille.
Oh, she's used this so much. You got to get a whiff.
It's lipstick.
And it's lipstick, yeah.
Okay, so there's watchers, there's movers, there's wipers, which can wipe memories.
Oh, I forgot about the wipers. I have a big list here.
Wipers can wipe memory for years, for months, for minutes. Mm-hmm. Then we've got shadows, which is pretty bomb.
Yeah.
They turn off everyone's watcher powers.
Right. So you can't if I'm a shadow and I go hang out with Garrick, you can't see Garrick.
Yeah. Now to me, all of the jobs, like all of these little job things are like, let's say you start with a fighting game. This happens a lot in video games. Sorry, Kelsey, I'm gonna kind of go into a diatribe here.
Please, it's your podcast.
It's truly not. But
I just got so excited.
To me, it's like you have a fighting video game. All the characters, the game comes out. And then they start adding extra characters. Mm-hmm. And the extra characters have abilities that compete with the newer, older characters.
Yes.
And so like to me, it's like, all right, you've got 3 characters, watchers, pushers, and movers. And then it's like, but the shadow takes away the watcher's power. Oh, but it's actually a sniffer that
can find you.
Yeah.
But then we've got the wiper. They were...
Yeah. It's literally like they were throwing obstacles whenever they found one. Like it's just like, oh, there should be a reason why they're running. So the sniffers.
And they're like, that's not weird. And then finally, arguably,
well, why doesn't she remember anything? Well, she came across all
wipies, no swipies. Arguably, the most important power that they have is of our third lead, who she is a pusher.
Yeah,
and a pusher. Fucks.
Havana Unana.
Nah, this bitch fucks.
And she fucks, and she also pushes Chris Evans. And then what I would say is one of the hottest moments of the movies we've seen recently.
You got to tell you what a pusher is. What's a pusher?
She puts a memory in there.
She pushes memories into your mind that aren't real. She can control your mind, essentially. Make you feel whatever she wants you to feel. Yeah. So she could be like, remember when we boned in the bathroom last night? And then you think and feel like you boned in the bathroom last night.
And so Chris Evans runs into the bathroom at one point. He's like, I thought it was on fire in here. And she goes, yeah, I just pushed you. Push back. And then they fucking bang.
Yeah, but we didn't get to see it.
They fucking bang right there.
Yeah, we didn't get to see it. Kelsey wanted it to be a full
porn. I bet you there's push porn out there. So basically, we've got.
My thing with that is that how did she usually does it by making eye contact, and the door
had to crack.
Closed. So how did she do it?
It was cracked.
No,
it was cracked. They did that whole scene between the door.
Oh yeah, because he could see her kind of.
I know. Yeah. He could see her, but he closed the door for a second, and he kept like rapping.
Stop trying to make it make sense, Garrick. That's not why we're here.
It doesn't matter.
And screamers also.
Oh, that's why I opened.
There's screamers.
I opened with the screamer.
Oh, you did? Okay, got it.
That's why I screamed.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Which is the most insane power. You can make someone die by screaming.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, apparently you can just kill fish.
So they just
by the way, that was a very cool set piece, I thought.
Yeah, that was the coolest.
I thought that was amazing. In a fight in a fish market, and then you're seeing the effects of sound through water is
fish disintegrate. It's just blood in the water in the fish market. It's pretty sick. Yeah. And then stitchers, which are people that have the ability to heal and unheal your body. so they can stitch up your bones.
Yeah, that was a character I thought, we don't need this.
Yeah, it was also like really weird because it looked like she was moving his bones around, and I doubt that sound would break your bones rather than just like liquefy your insides.
He got beat the fuck up. But I'd like to start, now that we've got our bases covered, to what the fuck this movie is about. Is my favorite pleasure of this movie is the relationship between Dakota Fanning and Chris Evans.
Yeah.
That's not Abigail Breslin.
Contrary to popular belief.
I wish it was. Because
I
think Dakota Fanning does a really bad job.
I'm sorry.
And
Dakota Fanning could never.
I wish that she was better in it. I thought that she just didn't do a bad job. Here's a line that she did. You remember when
Don't blame the writing on her.
No, but it's a line that she said, which was the fish are exploding in the tanks, and she's like, the girl's like, I already know how you die. And she goes, you know it's not here and it's not today.
Yeah.
That's action.
She did it so fucking sassy. It's not here.
Not today.
She's 13 years old. Let's make it very clear. She's like just getting her period. She's just getting hormonal acne. She's very full of anger and she doesn't have a mom. Okay, she's basically an orphan,
Momless.
And she's a watcher, and she knows that Chris Evans is going to be in this town and that she's supposed to link up with him. Spoiler alert, she's the one that gives him the flower, and she's like, you and I have a mission to go on. I'm an orphan. I got to find my mom who's at that laboratory with the division people that, this other person seems to be at with this syringe of powerful juice. You and I got to team up, bro. And it becomes this very cute, big brother, little sister / father-daughter relationship of, I told you so. You never listened, but we both love each other.
Yeah, that was cute. I thought that was really cute. When she gets drunk and he's like, adorable. Cut it out.
Let me just reiterate, a 13-year-old gets drunk in China, and it's Dakota Fanning, and she played drunk so well.
Yeah.
I'm beside myself that you're trying to talk shit on Dakota Fanning.
I like her generally. I just thought in this, maybe it was just not the part for her. It was sort of like giving Divergent. Yeah. It was like a little too teen YA acting. And I thought, it's also like it's hard. It's not fair to compare to Chris Evans, who's like one of the greatest actors.
How are they not the same age? If you would have asked me, I would have told you Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning are the same age.
How old is he in this movie? Like 20, in his mid-20s?
I think he's supposed to be playing 19, right?
He's supposed to be 19.
Yeah. No, he's supposed to be playing like 20. No, he's supposed to be like 25. Because they said 10 years later. And
he was a child.
Looked like a
no, bitch. That was a 9-year-old.
But I think that it's like, Chris, if that guy was in my fucking freshman orientation,
I would drop trout.
Yeah, it would be crazy. It'd be
in
like
the cafeteria.
That kid was not 9. That child was not. That was not.
I bet you that was a 9-year-old child. Is what I'm trying
to get at.
We're gonna place a bet on that.
I'll say 11 or 12.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about our boy Chrissy E.
Yeah, I love him.
The best Chris.
Oh, he's a
killer.
No, Chris Pine will always be the best.
You mean from
Chris.
Star Trek?
But Chris Evans.
No, from Don't Worry, Darling.
Don't bring that up and try to.
We have to do an episode about it.
We
have to do an episode about it. Sometime. But yeah.
I mean, it's getting a 20. It got a 23.
Oh, it's gonna suck.
But the outside drum was getting 100% fresh.
Miss Flo. Anyway, Chris Evans I think is great in this movie. It to me reminds me that was always talented before he was Captain America, and I also think that they thought. Like, if this movie had been made in 2014, there would be 5 of them. Like, they tried to make this... Clearly, like, there's so many points. Like, the plot is fully unresolved. Like, they end the movie, and it's like the climax of the movie. They're like, all right, we got the stuff. And, like, we're going to find your mom later. And then it's like, that's the end.
They were anticipating a sequel.
This is a big setup for a sequel and a threequel.
But risky to make... the ending of the movie, like resting their laurels on a sequel.
Pretty embarrassing, I think. Yeah, because it's like then the movie bombed.
It is like bombing on stage. Like after it's like telling a joke, thinking it went well, dropping the mic, and then nobody says anything, and then you just have to walk off, or you have to pick the mic back up, put it back in the stand. And then
all right, then let's talk about it. It's a guilt, right? Like, did anyone understand the ending?
Barely. I was like,
absolutely not.
It made sense to me in a general sense. Like, so the telekinetic girl, she thinks that she's pushed, but then she is, and then she isn't, and then Chris Evans, and then they fucking freak out, and then it's like they've got the stuff.
And then it's Dakota Fanning and Chris Evans got the syringe, and they're like, your mom was planning this all along. And you're like, wait, Dakota Fanning's mom was planning this?
But they clearly didn't know, like... I think that if they had tried to pull it off successfully, they should have made the woman at the beginning who drops the marble, who is Dakota Fanning's mom, they should have made that like Sigourney Weaver. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, I know that this is a relevant character, but they didn't cast anyone. It's the back of a woman's head dropping a marble. That's Dakota Fanning's mom.
Right. Wait, when was that?
At the very beginning of the movie, Dakota, the
marble that gets her out?
Yes.
The way that the girl...
That's Dakota Fanning's mom who's in the division.
How the fuck was I supposed to know that?
Because they talked about it. They talked about it a couple times. And they
this whole movie.
They flashback.
Loosely. They loosely
mentioned it, and then they flash back, and she's like, that's my mom. And it's like, boo, and she drops the marble.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a big old...
Reframes a little bit.
Reframes, but still doesn't make it totally make sense that the mom is using the daughter
no, it doesn't
and like abandoned her.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I want to talk about the division in Digimon Hansu because he's
so
the
good.
baddest bee of all fucking time and way too good for this film.
Great. When he talks, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like he's just such an intimidating presence.
But then when he smiles,
it's
so
great.
happy.
Oh, it's like really, he's just really a good actor.
He walks in, the way his character is introduced, I wrote down, I was like, oh shit, put a soundtrack behind this man. He comes in all black. He's supposed to be like, FBI division, whatever. But he's in like sweats and a fucking hoodie with a gold Rolex on. Sunglasses, no guns, and just like walks in the room and is like, what a waste. And I was like, who is this man? Who is he?
Yeah.
It's like anything that goes against the grain of a traditional villain, like anybody that is like smiling as a villain or like wearing sweats as a villain, you're just like, I feel like this person is dope. I'll always like say that the way Christoph Waltz played the villain in Inglourious Basterds.
Fuck me up forever.
Fucking that's what you want.
Also
every
came
time.
out the same year as this
fucking
movie.
time.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's so weird.
I'll tell you a little fun fact early because I did research this a little bit. I didn't know Zach was going to be out.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, how did this movie not do well? Like, how did I not know about it? How was this like not a thing?
Yeah.
This movie came out in the year of some of the best films
of
all time. It was Avatar.
Yeah.
The Hangover.
Yeah. Wow.
Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah. This
Couples
2009
Retreats.
was a rough year.
Fucking.
And I think Dark Knight as well came out like the year later.
It was like a February release.
Huh.
It was not given there. It's not that this was a bad movie. There were just so many better movies that came out that year.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it's a bad movie.
It's not.
But it is. It did lose me.
When you're. So, once like a movie keeps on explaining itself, you realize that the writers didn't have faith in what they're writing or like the premise of it enough to where it's just like, okay, well, unless it's like Tenet, where it's just, I think fantastic.
I gotta tell you, Garrick,
twice.
I didn't understand a fucking word of it, and I thought the guy was charmless, and I'm sorry. I know you liked it.
No, he's terrible.
Yeah,
he's terrible. Tenet on the second watch, I was like, oh, okay, I like this. Oh my god, why do I like this? The first time I was like, oh, I fucking hate this. This is the worst. Fucking outing that Nolan has had. Oh my god, I can't believe he thought that this was a good take on this. And then you watch it the second time knowing what's about to happen,
and it makes more sense.
No, this movie kind of fucks, man.
All right. I gotta get into that then. That makes sense to me. But yeah, that's crazy. This movie, I think it's like, the explaining part definitely makes sense, and then also, I felt like there was like weirdly too many locations at the end. I feel like sometimes they go to a location and all of a sudden be like, all right, we gotta go.
Okay, well now I have to fully stop you because I fucking loved this part of the movie.
The end?
Okay, so you spend like most of the movie getting to know who the characters are, how they relate to each other. Camila Cabello turns out to be an escaped prisoner from the division.
Yeah.
And she teams up with them. Turns out ex-girlfriend of Chris Evans, which I was like, there's nothing hotter than exes fucking and like reuniting. Especially when they think each other had done something wrong. Yeah. But it was really like just love lost and miscommunication, aka she got kidnapped by the division.
She got kidnapped.
Yeah, she got kidnapped, whatever. And then becomes the best part of the movie, which I think is like the puzzle.
Yeah, that is cool. No, I loved that.
Where you as an audience member have no fucking clue how they're going to figure this out. You're like, you've got a pusher, a watcher, a sniffer, a mover, a shaker.
A pusher, a watcher, a sniffer, a shaker.
Pull it, pop it, shake it, flick it. And you're like, how are they going to use each other's? Because they're all their powers should theoretically be being used against each other to prevent this from happening.
Yeah.
And the big moment, how dare you yawn right in my fucking face, Miles. He even said, yeah. The big moment that's revealed is our daddy, Chris, comes up with the plan that in order for the watcher to not be able to predict how they're going to steal the syringe is that he's going to write letters to each of our team members.
That's cool.
And he says, I'm going to tell you when to open them, and I'm going to write myself the last letter.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go get my mind wiped.
That's right.
By a wiper.
Wiper, no wiping.
And then I'm going to read my own letter. Yeah. And that's how we're going to get it done. Because if you think about your next move, the watcher will see, and we can't do this big heist.
Nope.
But he found a way around.
Never let him know your next move. That's where that term was coined. Was in the phenomenal
film push,
and that's where the
and I love also we got the little magician guy. He's turning objects into objects. The one part of the movie that was really funny to me is at the end when he's like, "What did I inject myself with?" Because they kind of bait and switch it, and she's like, "Soy sauce." And it's like, you'd be so dead immediately if you injected like that much sodium into your bloodstream.
First of all,
your heart is stopping.
Just inject any old thing in your vein?
You definitely can't.
Yeah.
Like, don't you have to worry about air bubbles?
You definitely can. You can't even put air in your fucking veins.
Maybe in 2009 our science wasn't that far along yet or something. I just like to think. But come on, you have to admit these parts of these movies, Looper, Jumper, Lumper, Pusher, Oceans, all of my favorite like heisty thriller movies is all of us getting to figure out how they're going to pull it off along with the audience.
Yeah. And that's why, like, this is, again, it satisfies the same place as these other movies we're talking about. Because it doesn't need to be, I don't want it to be smart.
I don't want it to make sense.
I want it to be fucking, like, writers that just being excited about it. I wrote down, this is like, it's like, movies like this remind me that Hollywood should be fun.
Yeah.
It should be fun, like the dumb Chris Evans' telekinesising the gun.
My favorite moment was when Chris Evans said, this is a direct quote from the movie, and I audibly laughed. He said, "What if nothing we did made sense?"
I love that.
And I tell you kids, I felt that in my bones for this movie. I was like, yes, that should be the log line.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Wait, you mentioned the floating guns. Let's go back.
Yeah.
The most iconic moment.
We got to go back because that was
Tell us, Garrick.
sick. That was like that was like in the trailer. Once I saw people fighting with floating guns, and then I saw the lens flare being used as like their shield and all that stuff. I was like, oh, this is gonna be the greatest fucking movie of all time.
What happened?
So like when that scene
What's
happened,
happening? Set the scene for us.
So he's upset and he's
Who's
like,
he?
I know, I got to protect my ex-girlfriend. Okay. Chris Evans is upset. Nick is upset. He has to protect his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend. The way that they point out that he's mad and his powers are amped up with his emotions is that when he walks past somebody pouring sugar into their cup, it like flexes. The sugar stream flexes, and it's like, oh my God, he's fucking unconsciously showing his power. Oh fuck. So like he's walking over.
Yeah, it's getting hard for her.
Yeah. He's walking up to Digimon Hansu and his right-hand man, who is also a mover, a powerful mover. And he has 2 guns. Nick has 2 guns in his waistband, takes the 2 guns out, drops the guns. The guns begin to float behind him and go up into the air above
like the
his
ceiling,
head.
like super high up.
Yeah.
Super high up so that they can't see. But he's walking over and he's just like, I'm about to approach these people and I'm about to kill them. And as he starts his interaction with them, the fucking guns float down and point at each of their temples. And he's like, using his powers to like force them to give him the information he needs. He's like, you think you can push me before I can pull the trigger? And it's just like, oh fuck okay. Yes, and you're ready. You're ready. That's just like the sickest moment of all of cinema to this point. And Dark Knight came out in 2008, so that means that the Joker had already been in cinema. So that means that this moment was better than the Joker.
That's a bold statement.
Like I feel like
Push is better than Dark Knight.
That's
the title of
it.
Push is better.
I have to sandwich this moment of the guns, yes, being the coolest moment in cinematic history.
Hell yeah.
Packaged with, for me, was the biggest guilt of this movie, which is that the guns looked like they were floating on string.
They did.
I understand that it was supposed to be his powers weren't really strong, so the guns are kind of shaking. But they looked like they were little marionette strings, like like popping and hitting the guys in the head. Like the practical effect on that one, for some reason, we lost the budget.
No, that was very CGI.
It was very, and
that was so much CGI.
The guns moment, they did have kind of a float. I did also, there's one point where like the gun pushes at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just imagine somebody wearing all green, like pushing the gun at his temple.
Yeah.
But the fight scenes in this, were we satisfied?
That final fight scene was great, looking like a college holy moly festival for whatever reason.
Oh, what?
The holy, the holy festival?
No.
It's like a festival where they use lots of colorful powders and paints. But for whatever reason, the construction site, like every time something exploded, it was like pink or blue. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like this weird gender reveal explosions every time the guns go off. I was like, I don't know why like the construction site would have colorful powders.
They were painting a fucking Build-A-Bear.
Sometimes they want to paint their crazy ornate stuff with like greens and pinks and all that stuff.
The fight scenes were cool. I thought like our boy did a really good job. Like I was really impressed by the lack of stunt double use.
You think it was all Chris?
And Dakota.
You think Dakota did her
She
own
rode
stunts?
that wave in the fish market. I felt like they were really there.
She's flopping around on the ground. You think
like a fish.
Like a fish.
Yeah. Here's I think that a shaky cam will let you get away with a lot of your own stunts and a lot of that era of footage. But I will say that the way that the Bourne movies had this era of action movies in a fucking chokehold. Yeah. Oh my God. It's crazy. Like the Bourne Identity came out and everybody was like, if you don't shake the fucking camera, then nothing matters.
Which, by the way, I gotta tell you, having rewatched the Bourne movies recently, I agree.
Wow.
I fucking love the Bourne movies. I think they're so good. It's just good. Like
they're so
when he jumps
the scene when he jumps from the building into the window and like starts beating the dog shit out of somebody with a phone book. I was like, are you kidding me?
Just to be clear, that is the Bourne franchise, not Push.
This is the Bourne franchise.
That is the Bourne franchise, not Push.
This doesn't happen to Push.
I'm sorry. We'll jump back and forth between the two. But I just making the comparison because there was the Bourne movies with robots, which is Transformers. You got the Bourne movie with old people, which is Taken. And then you got Born British. I think I wrote this down, or not Born British. The Born with psychic powers, and it's this one. It's Push. But like the scene in the second Born movie where they're where he's like spying on them through a sniper lens, and he calls somebody. And he's just like, blah, 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 blah. I'm Bourne. I know you're looking for me. I know you're blah, 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 blah. It's so on and so forth. All right, cool. And they have a conversation. And then she's like, where are you? Don't worry about it. You should get some sleep, though.
Oh,
you look tired.
Chills.
And then he hangs up the phone, and she's like, and she turns around. Fucking board music comes on.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, and I love it.
We guys should do the Bourne movies. They just have action month.
Yeah, anyway, we should. We should have an action month.
The shaky cam works for me here. I think it's good. I think that the fighting generally seems pretty good.
I feel like there's also something too, like the environment being a part of that, because it felt the contrast, like the colors were so sharp, and it was giving like Fight Club / what's the one where Bill Murray's in Asia?
Lost in Translation?
Yeah, it was like the colors of Lost in Translation.
You thought this was like Lost in Translation?
The colors reminded me.
You thought this was the quiet, sort of sleepy movie Lost in Translation?
The colors, Miles! The colors. It was like Fight Club meets Lost in Translation cinematography, where it just felt like Chris Evans was a little extra orangey and a little extra neon green. Like the overall composition really, really pleased my palate.
Yeah, no, that was nice. I also liked the moment where Dakota Fanning is she's looking at this. They're like, could this briefcase be? And then they're like, let's look at the city skyline. If it's shadowed, I won't be able to draw it. And she draws the skyline and one of the buildings is missing. Yeah. I just thought that was a really creative way to do that scene.
You liked the workarounds.
I liked a lot of it. I think I just like got bored at some points, but it was good. I think
if you looked away for too long, you were gonna get lost.
Yeah,
like. This was not a phone
If I had
movie.
watched it in a stadium full of screaming people, probably would have been my favorite movie ever.
Why don't we do that?
I was
Guilty Pleasures tour. I've been pushing these motherfuckers to do a live show, you guys. Let's do it.
I want to do a
we'll come to Atlanta. I don't give a fuck.
I really want to do a live show.
Okay, well, who's in charge of that?
I don't know, the podcast producer.
That's you, Miles. When I was watching this movie, though, it had me thinking, because I knew we'd be discussing it with you idiots. Like, if you were in Chris Evans's position, would you let a 13-year-old little girl boss you around the way Dakota Fanning manhandled this adult?
So not I wouldn't let her boss me around, but I also wouldn't be so reluctant to help in the first place. Especially not if my father's dying words were help the person that gives you a flower or so whatever the fuck he said. It's just like, yeah, I gotta help this person. But don't fucking talk to me crazy. Watch your mouth. You're 13.
Watch your mouth.
I was waiting for him to like smack her at one point.
Backhands her?
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Look what I draw.
Yeah. Like their relationship was funny.
It's like, I don't care. These are all bad drawings. Also, why do you have a fucking etch and sketch or whatever the fuck she had? Like a light. It was like a light bright,
one. It was the one where it was
marker.
black, the black etch a sketch, and when you made it, it did rainbow. What was that one called? 90s kids remember.
Neon pencils. These kids know.
No, but also she had all the money. Like,
do you remember?
Yes, I remember blow pens. We were huffing them the wrong way, and then our mouth would get all.
Dakota Fanning's like, look what I drew. I saw us dead.
They're huffing paint. We're like, she's a drug addict.
It's also like, she's like, what, 13 drawing dead bodies? Like, she needs to go to therapy.
She needs help. She's trying to find her mom.
Yeah, she does.
Does she have a dad?
Never discussed.
I'm sure it's in the sequel.
Maybe it's Chris Evans.
Yeah. You think this?
It's probably revealed in Mamma Mia.
Wow, we're doing that one next. Thank God.
Yeah.
Every time I hear about Mamma Mia, I just get upset.
That's not this episode. I'm so excited. Guilty Horse. Okay, fun fact. Guess how much this movie cost to make?
It feels pretty cheap because if you're just doing lens flare for special effects, then sure. And I think like the floating gun.
So what, like $12?
Yeah, I think like $12.
What's your guess?
$100.
$100 and $12?
No, it probably cost like $20 million. 30.
It took $38 million to make. Guess how much it made at the box office? Which, don't forget, is a 50-50 split with the box office. Yeah. It made $48 million total, which means this movie lost more than $10 million. It was in the hole. So that's why they didn't make the sequel. They were banking on this getting a sequel. And then when it got released, it just
Because it really did get thrown into the ringer. Like if it got thrown to the fishes, it was fucking crazy. To come out when The Hangover came out.
That's so tough.
When everybody,
Avatar?
like, this was like the Deadpool of 2009. Avatar?
Bitch, no one's seeing anything else. This was filler. This was like, who gives a fuck? And it also came out in February. Why would you release an action movie in February?
I saw a thing that was really interesting about movies around that era coming out. It was Matt Damon talking about how when movies came out in like the early 2000s, they'd come out and then you would get DVD sales again. So it's like you make about that amount of money again, like the box office, whatever. It's like, and then the DVD comes out and you sell all the DVDs and you make like about what it made at the box office again. And then when streaming and stuff started happening, or like downloads, it's just totally dropped off. Like you didn't make that money anymore. And it was just the box office number. So it made it a lot harder to make smaller movies successful, because it was like, well, you only have the box office. You're probably definitely going to lose money on the movie. And now with streaming, I would imagine that it's probably similar, where the streaming rights for stuff pays, but not as much as like
that's what I was
DVD sale, you know?
Yeah. No, it's not. They're not buying movies for $30.
No.
Yeah.
At all, like ever.
And it's also like a DVD costs nothing to print, and then it's out, and you can sell it for $25.
Hey, comment below if you remember DVDs.
90s kids know.
I would like us to each name what each other's superpower would be. Would you be a pusher, a watcher, a shaker, a thumper, a humper, or a goober?
I think I'd be a sniffer.
You would for sure be a sniffer. I wasn't going to say it first, but that was my first thought.
I didn't want to say it.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
You did it too well.
Yeah. I'd be a sniffer. Be a really good sniffer.
I feel like I'd be a screamer for obvious reasons.
Oh, my God, Kelsey.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because I'm loud and I got a big mouth, you perv.
For obvious reasons, she says.
You perv. I'm a screamer. Yeah. Garrick, what are you?
I think I'd be one of those.
Yes, I was going to say shadow.
Just like it was silently being there. It's just like,
they're like, who invited him?
Why is he around?
The weird shadow guy they find that goes with them is so funny to me. He's just like, I don't know, I'll just hang out.
Yeah. Like, he's just like, he's getting paid $10,000 a day to shadow someone. That man is rich as fuck.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, I'll just hang out. I don't know what $10,000 is in whatever the Chinese fundage is.
Yeah, yen.
It could be like $1,000 yen. Could be like
what do we think Zachary Kornfeld ankles would be?
Oh man,
my heart wants to say sniffer, but I feel like he'd be a healer.
Yeah, the Stitch,
the Stitcher boy.
Yeah,
because of all of his broken parts.
No, I think he'd be a wiper.
Really?
He'd be a wiper
because I just believe that he would be wiping a lot of people's minds, and he would have to like get taken down by the because of how much problem.
Wow, so he's a villain.
Like so many people don't remember their interactions.
He's such a good wiper that it just,
Yeah.
He really wiped.
Yeah. It's just like he got himself in like an embarrassing situation and he just wipes them.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. That's so funny. Oh, here's a question for a fun segment.
Huh.
So this movie is fun.
Okay.
Good. But I think that there's maybe a reason why it didn't crush, and I don't think it was just because it came out in February. Okay. What would the tweaks be that you would make to this movie to try, if you were like given the cut and said like, we can reshoot some stuff, what would you tweak to the movie to make it like a box office
Remember
success?
When we first started this podcast and we had that segment where we would be like, Garrick, the professional writer, how would you fix this movie? What happened to our segments?
I love that segment.
Why don't we do segments anymore?
I don't know.
I'm bringing back segments now. Fuck you, Zach. I run this podcast
now. Damn right. So yeah, what would we do to fix it?
I don't know.
I think
it's kind of like a perfect film.
I would have upped the ante. I would have upped the ante on like the gang shit and like taken out the two useless characters that we talked about, like the Stitch and the fucking other Watcher chick or whatever.
Oh yeah, that I was not that interested in.
No, I wanted more gang violence.
I agree. You know what I would want to do is like, I think that this movie had some cool stuff going for it, but I almost think that it did itself a disservice by following people that weren't Chris Evans and Dakota Johnson, like following, Like Dakota Fanning, I guess. So I felt like I want this movie to do sort of a John Wick of itself, a pig of itself, where you're sort of following them. Yeah, it's really quiet. It's following them as they're trying to figure this out. But like, I don't really want to see the scene at the beginning of her escaping. I want him to be like, oh, like we have to find a girl, and like you're kept in the dark a little bit more. And because the moments that were fun were like, oh, they're out to lunch, and then all of a sudden these guys show up, and I like that a lot. And I was like, I would love if we had never seen the girl before, and then she's just like, yeah, there's like a girl and she's missing, and like we got to find her, and like that kind of I think would give the mystery parts a little bit more zhuzh, because I love the ending where it's like we got to figure this whole puzzle out. But I just wanted to like have a little bit of those characters and hint at their greater lives.
Yeah, if they had all started out like if it started off as that game at the end, like as that like mystery where like all of their minds have been wiped and they don't know why they're together. Would have been really
What's that one movie where he has to put his mind back together with pictures?
Memento.
What's
that one movie? One of the most iconic movies ever.
I'm bad with names. I'm bad with names. I agree. I think this, but this would have been like the next. This would have been like, I don't even know who directed and wrote this. That would have been like next level fucking Christopher Nolan. What's the other guy who did Social Network? Like really high level writing.
Oh yeah. So this movie has a 24% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Jesus Christ.
Which is sad.
That is an atrocity.
Although it was directed by Paul McGuigan.
No, it's not. What is that name you just said?
Paul McGuigan. And Paul McGuigan also directed Lucky Number 11, Wicker Park, Victor Frankenstein, the 2020 Dracula movie, and an episode of Designated Survivor.
This movie I rented on YouTube, and it only had 141 likes.
Wow.
Which bothered me deeply for some reason. I threw it one because I was like, what an atrocity.
It did make me want to revisit the works of Chris Evans that are outside of the big franchise machines that he's done.
Not Another Teen Movie.
Not Another Teen Movie is great.
What else was he in?
Puncture.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's a movie where he's a lawyer who's addicted to heroin and he's going after pharmaceutical companies.
Oh my God.
It's a kind of a sick movie. And it's based on a true story.
Yo, I'm writing that down.
Yeah, that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
But also Scott Pilgrim, obviously. He's incredible, Scott Pilgrim.
Yep.
Oh my God. So what about The Gray Man?
I watched it.
I did not. Was it horrible?
It was fucking amazing.
No way you liked
Gosling
it.
and
No
Evans.
way you liked it.
Let me tell you something, you guys. Let me tell you something, you guys.
Yeah.
I watched this movie the night that my ex-boyfriend and I got into the biggest fight, and I got completely naked. I was so angry. I ripped my own clothes off. I packed.
That happens a lot.
I packed every single item he had in my house into cardboard boxes and blasted Gray Man in the background and watched the entire thing in the biggest rage I've ever been in my life. And this was the best movie I've ever seen. The Gray Man was chef's kiss fantastic.
It's attached to a traumatic
If I didn't have that movie, I
Wow.
can't tell you that I would have had the energy to pack everything.
It helped you. It sort of brought you through an
helped me.
experience.
And Gosling plus Evans, are you out of your gourd? It's the best.
I mean, I love both of them. Yeah.
Did you guys watch it?
No.
Well, then fuck right off.
I gotta see it.
Fuck all the way off.
No, I've watched it. I tried to finish that movie 4 times. 4 times. I got up and I was just like, I'm going to finish The Gray Man. This is the night that I finished The Gray Man. Fell asleep every time until the 4th time when I got to like the part where they're fighting on the roof. And I was like, I only have 15 minutes left. If I fall asleep in the last 15 minutes of this movie, then this is a terrible movie. And then I didn't fall asleep. I almost did. And so I gave it.
But did you love Chris Evans' character? Because I thought he played that douchebag so well.
No, he was really cool. They were both cool characters.
Psychopath.
It's just like the movie sucks. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to introduce another segment here that I think we could actually go. So we often talk about a lot of guilty pleasures on this show. But what if we are introducing a segment called My Pleasure? What's something that you watched recently that you just want to recommend to people that we might not necessarily do on the show?
We had that where Zach used to ask us what our
what are you watching?
Our favorites of the week were.
Yeah.
So let's bring that shit back.
We're revamping the podcast.
See, this is what happened when Zach is out of town. We innovate.
Then we get our
collaborate.
We get them back.
We make it better. Okay, what are we watching right now? That's good. Mm-hmm. Is yours The Gray Man?
No, I've been watching The Patient with Steve Carell and Domino Gleeson on Hulu.
Okay,
and it's really interesting and kind of cool. Domino Gleeson plays a. This is the log line. Domino Gleeson plays a serial killer who kidnaps Steve Carell, who's a psychiatrist, to help him deal with his compulsion.
Of kidnapping?
Of killing. So Steve Carell is locked in Domino Gleeson's basement.
Fantastic.
And Domino Gleeson's like, I want you to give me psychiatry. And it's great.
That's fantastic.
30-minute episodes too. There's 3 of them right now. It's great. It's
I want to binge some shit.
No, it's a comedy? It's not a comedy. But Steve Carell is...
But that's what's fucking crazy. It'll probably get nominated as a comedy and win like
but because it's like it's not even like The Martian has like bits in it. It's not funny like that. Like it's just a drama. But it's cool because Domino Gleeson and Steve Carell are both great comedic actors, but they're doing dark, material in this. So yeah. That's my pleasure.
My pleasure is I just watched on Netflix the Girlfriend That Never Existed. The Manti Te'o mini doc. I think it was 3 episodes. And it was fantastic. It was one of those ones that it's like, oh yeah, we all forgot about this crazy fucking thing that happened. And thank God for cinema to remind us.
Yeah.
But this man fully was a Heisman Trophy nominee with a fake girlfriend that died the same day as his grandma. And it was like pre-major internet socialdom. So it just brought it back in a way that was like, this is the original Catfish. It was just, I highly recommend it. If you like docs, which I love, go watch. It's a quick, easy watch. I watched it all in one night.
Oh, amazing. I've been watching old episodes of Modern Family.
Woo!
I cannot stress enough that they earned every fucking Emmy, every award, every piece of praise that they have gotten. I like my favorite episode is the episode where Claire, the oldest daughter, starts dating somebody older than her. She's 18 and she starts dating somebody that's like 39.
Oh my God.
That's too old.
That's been divorced twice. And it is so fucking funny to watch Phil get mad. It is like, dog, he is probably my favorite comedian.
Yeah, he rules. He's so good.
Truly. So yeah, that's really been my shit as of late. It's just the way that everything dovetails at the end is so good to have literally 3 different storylines. It's almost like co-A's, if anything.
That was a writer term?
3 A stories dovetail at the end of a 20-minute chunk in this beautiful and teaching way. It's a great show. It's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah, and I've seen so many. Like recently, I didn't watch all of it. I think I watched like the first 2 seasons or something. And recently, I've been getting served clips on my TikTok and stuff.
On your clip top
on my tip tops.
Because the reason why I started watching again is because people were like, what's the greatest TV show of all time? Or the greatest sitcom of all time? Or what's your favorite on Twitter? And everybody kept saying Modern Family. So I just got flooded with all of these clips of like all of the bits crescendoing into this one huge bit that like just like explains so much, and it's like callback after callback after callback, and it's just so fucking good. So that's why I started watching it again, and I think that's why you're getting those.
Or like the one I saw was clips. The Godfather episode where Phil is just like, "Don't worry about it, it's handled," and like his kids are like dealing with bullies and stuff by like just putting a stuffed horse head in the other. Like it's just great. It's just very cool. So yeah,
his son. I forget the son's name. Fuck, I keep on forgetting his name. But the son, like gets out of bed in a full tux, and then his dad Phil is doing like a Godfather blessing, I think. And so the priest is asking him, do you renounce evil in all of its form?
Right.
And he's like, I do. And then you just see his son doing like fucked up shit. And then the priest asks him another question. And then he's like, I do. And then his son is doing even more fucked up shit. And it's all like mirroring the Godfather. And it's so fucking good. It's so, oh God.
Watch Modern Family, everyone.
It's a great show. It's underrated.
Well, guys, this is the time of the podcast where we have to decide if our favorite movie push is a guilt, a pleasure, or just plain guilty. Miles, why don't you start us off?
I think it's a guilty pleasure. I think that it is a great movie to watch with friends and enjoy. It's just fun. I think that it's really fun and really kind of stupid, and it's got this like fantasy sci-fi thing going on, and it's an enjoyable watch. Like, I don't think it's a chore to watch at all. Watch it with people, but it's definitely a guilty pleasure because the things that make it guilty are just like silliness from early mid 2000s film stuff.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think it's definitely a guilty pleasure for me. If it was gonna be a pleasure, but you just brought up a good point to make it guilty pleasure, is that I did wish I watched it with friends so that they could help explain parts to me that I didn't get, which made me go, all right, so it's not a full pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a GP for me, dog.
Yeah.
Garrick, bring us home.
Yeah, I would call it a guilty pleasure as well. Although, if I did watch this movie and for the first time and nobody told me about it, I would watch it and be like, why isn't everybody talking about this movie? This movie's great, blah, 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 blah. But upon the third and fourth watch of this, I can definitely tell that this is just like, there's some major flaws in it. A lot of things just gets explained rather than shown. And I like hate exposition so much. And there are way more creative ways to do it, but they didn't, because they're like, you know, using the crutch of the sci-fi rather than just like living in the world and you know, having all of these things be known. So yeah, I would say that it's a guilty pleasure for sure.
Miles, where can people find you since you are a special guest?
Hey, you can find me at Miles Bond. You can listen to my podcast, Perfect Person, wherever you get podcasts.
And until next week, I'm Corn Diddy on all the things. I'm Kelsey Darragh on all the things.
And I'm Garrick Bernard on all the things.
Until next time, how long do you think your mom's been planning this?
Since before I was born.